It took 3 plane rides, 2 layovers, and 15 plus total hours of travel, including 1 overnight flight, but I made it to Iceland in mostly one piece. I was lucky enough to meet 2 people from our group at the airport, and we were able to travel together to the hotel. Despite our jet lag and utter exhaustion, me and Sven decided to push through and explore the city of Reykjavik, starting with the majestic Viking cow. Very cutesy, very demure. I love him. Even though he's doing questionable things in public, I adore him. Next, we made our way to the Perlin Museum, an interactive museum in Reykjavik that covers many of Iceland's natural wonders and wildlife.
I don't need anybody, only you can lift me up.
They didn't give you a rock or nothing.
The truth is unfolding. I'll be there till I'm gone.
I love it. It's like a snow cone.
Never fails to make me smile. Hold on, don't let go of me yet. Don't want to end, just stay right here. Hold on, don't let this slip away. 'Cause I don't know anybody quite like you.
We stopped for a bite to eat in the museum's restaurant and quickly realized that jet lag was catching up to us. I was well over 24 hours straight of being awake and desperately needed a nap. As we started our walk back to the hotel, we stumbled upon the fluffiest of surprises.
I'll be there till I'm gone. I'll be there till I'm gone.
After a short and well-deserved nap, I met the rest of the group for dinner, and we ended the night by walking to the coast and performing a short welcome ritual with the spirits of the land. The next morning, I was surprised to be woken up by Iceland's natural alarm, the wind. After a quick breakfast at the hotel, we packed our things and loaded onto a van to start our trip. But first, we stopped at a local grocery store for some snacks. Once we were back on the road, we listened while Olivia hosted a photography workshop, and by the looks of the landscape we were passing by, we knew we'd have plenty of chances to use her tips.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm much more of an on.
Our first stop made the trip feel real to me, Thingvellir National Park. Walking the path and viewing the beautiful landscapes and waterfalls gave me a sense of peace and freedom that only travel ever does. After stopping for lunch, we drove to see the Great Geyser, and I couldn't help but be so reminded of Yellowstone National Park in the US while walking around. He said, I'm done with you. Quit lying to me.
You're so pretty now. Sweet baby. Oh my goodness, thank you.
You're gonna love us now. We're not lying anymore. Some of our group decided to host info dumping sessions to break up our long drives, including Iceland, who is educating us on elves. After a long drive, we reached Gullfoss Falls, the windiest and chilliest destination of the day by far. Wow. It looks like a very elegant scarf. Unfortunately, we didn't have a ton of time left to get super close to the falls, but trust that I did get soaked nonetheless. We all left Gullfoss wetter and colder than we arrived. Luckily for us, our final stop of the day was the secret lagoon. The hot water and cold air was the perfect relaxing end to our first official day. We stayed overnight at the cutest family-owned hotel and farm located literally in the middle of nowhere, but still absolutely gorgeous. Our guide Yuta had decided to start our day with one of her favorite locations that wasn't originally on our itinerary. Since she had learned more about our group and knew that we were mostly witches, she knew we would truly appreciate this place, and even asked the spirits permission beforehand to bring us here. Welcome to Gluggafoss, or the Window Waterfall, my favorite location of the trip. After leaving Gluggafoss, we made our way towards the next stop, but on the way, Benta hosted a workshop on connecting with local spirits.
Dependent on anymore on it, but it's a very, very beautiful practice to kind of
aftermath of the waterfall. Although the beach was crowded with tourists, it was very easy to connect with the land here, and I noticed the beach contained a very potent death energy, maybe due to the power of the nearby ocean, which we were warned not to get too close to due to the strength of its tide, which had claimed lives previously. We begged our guide to stop at a local church we had spotted from the road that was said to have been built by a hidden person. Due to our busy schedule, we weren't able to stay long, but we were grateful for the quick look. And from there, we continued our journey across the country of Iceland towards its largest glacier. We ended our day with one last waterfall hike before making our way to our hotel to eat dinner and later relax in the hotel's hot tub. And I love the window seat. Oh my goodness. Gorgeous. For our fourth day, a small group of us got together to visit a nearby waterfall that was close to our hotel before the actual itinerary began. It still amazes me at how literally everything in Iceland is so, so beautiful.
Look at their little butts. Oh, they're so cute. They're so round. Oh, I love them. Hey, friend.
Okay, you don't have a choice. Oh, so short person taking a picture of a tall person? Oh,
And then in the distance,
the
here's
color of your jacket looks perfect.
To start our official day, our tour guide took us off the planned schedule once again to show us something she knew we'd love: a graveyard and one of the few remaining Icelandic turf houses. After spending time at the graveyard, we began our fun-filled day at the Diamond Beach, the first of many encounters with glaciers today. Typically, you can find many broken-off glacier pieces washed up on this beach, but since we were here in late summer, there was only a few smaller pieces remaining. But that was only the beginning of our glacier experience, as our next stop was the Glacier Lagoon, where we would take a boat tour to see some of the floating glaciers up close. After the boat tour, part of our group returned to the hotel while the rest of us prepared for a 4-hour glacier hike. But first, we had to survive the extremely rough ride to the trailhead. The ride was a total of 40 minutes, and 35 minutes of it were completely off-road and extremely bumpy. Once we arrived, we put on our helmets and were fitted for our crampons. The hike starts with a 10-minute walk through gravel to get to the glacier's edge. Once on the glacier, we put our crampons on and began the actual fun, hiking on the glacier.
light part, so the light cannot travel across the ice that easy. All the spectrum of color cannot get in. But there,
After reaching the end of our uphill hike, I filled my bottle with fresh glacier water, and we started the very crunchy hike back down, ending our day of glaciers.
Oh, they're so cute though. Look at their little booties. I think this.
Most of our last day was dedicated to driving back across the country towards Reykjavik, but our guide was able to include a few stops along the way to break up the trip. Our first stop being the Dwarf Rocks, an arrangement of basalt columns that are said to be a place where a young girl once heard dwarves singing from within.
So high up. So cute and
Yes, feels like a perfect little. That did not sound convincing.
After a brief bathroom break where Olivia found a slug, we made our way to Fjallaglufjord Canyon.
Sheep are everywhere. So May is lambing season, so when the babies are ready, like 2-3 weeks old, they are just taken, like driven to the mountains, and they are just wandering around eating all the herbs and grasses that they found there. And then in September we collect them, so September is rounding up season, and we bring them to the constructions that you can see here on the left.
The main part is she fell in love with this guy named Percy Shelley. He was also a very weird dude. In college, he went to a very Christian college or university, and he would pass out atheism pamphlets in front of the church. Yeah. He got to go to like Switzerland to create this new society. They're like, let's start a cult, guys.
And of course, we had to squeeze in one last waterfall.
How could it go horribly wrong? Is my question. Your head is always and I'm like moving and you keep going. No. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was so cold and so wet. Oh my goodness.
Once we were back in Reykjavik, our group met with Albert Bjorn for a workshop on Icelandic staves.
She's gorgeous.
Albert was kind enough to make us booklets and walk us through making our own staves, which are similar to sigils in some ways.
They're very Christian in that there's loads of Jesus-y stuff with slaves.
After the workshop, we headed to our final dinner together to say goodbye to our guide, Yuda, and to spend our last night together as a group.
Good thing she's only speaking German. I was gonna try German.
So I just got back to the hotel room. I said all of my goodbyes to everyone on the trip, and I am very, very sad that I'm having to leave everyone because we all got so incredibly close, and it was just a great sense of community, honestly, and getting to travel Iceland with them has just been so amazing, and I am so incredibly grateful for the opportunity to have been on this trip and to meet these specific people. Like, we all just clicked so perfectly, and it was just an amazing time, but it is at an end. This is my last night. I have to get up and go to the airport pretty early in the morning, and I'm flying all day, so it's time to go home. But this has just been such an amazing experience. But I'm tired. So I'll see you at home. This trip to Iceland was so important for me. It gave me a well-needed sense of community, allowed me to reconnect with my practice, and in many ways allowed me to reconnect with myself. It was a big jump into the unknown, choosing to go on an international trip with a group of strangers, but I am so grateful that I made that choice. We arrived as strangers, but we left as friends. Our bonds forged in one of the most beautiful places in the world.